This video was made possible by you. If you want to save time and support what I do, check the link in the description that will take you to my store where you can purchase the source file for what we're creating in this video, as well as other tutorials on my channel. Thank you for your support, and let's get back to the video. This slider scrolls on its own, and you can also drag it to get to the next and previous slides. It also features these animated navigation dots, making it even more engaging. Having something like this in your UIs and prototypes is guaranteed to impress anyone you show your designs to, so let's take a look at how this can be achieved in Figma. We're again working with the mobile app design system. This is a part of the mobile app design series, so if you're interested in downloading the source file for this and everything else, check the link in the description. Here's my plan. I think we're going to have 3 components in total. The first component is going to be the individual slides of this slider. Okay, let's say we're going to have 4. Then another component is going to be basically the actual component that we're going to use, right? So that's the first component, the second one, and then we're going to get a third component that's going to be these navigation dots, so that we can animate these separately. Right? So this here, these are the kind of helper components we're going to have, and then we're going to assemble those over here. Now let's think about over here in the third component. Now let's think about the size of this slider. Let's take a look at what we have here. We're using the iPhone 15 Pro screen, I believe, and we have the container that is 329 pixels wide, or points, which means it's going to take us 32 from the edges of the screen. But I think with this one, it could be even a bit less from the edges of the screen. So why don't we go for 16 or 24 from the screen, which would make this slider 361 if we go for the 16 from the sides. So let's just note this down. Let's just create a frame that is 361. By the way, I pressed F on my keyboard and then click and drag. That's how you create a frame. So let's say this is going to be 361 and the height could be like 220. Yeah, something like that, I think makes sense. So this is what we are working with essentially. So why don't I rename this frame to slide, and then I'm just going to use a button from my design system. I'm going to create an instance, option and drag, and then put it here. I'm going to also go for, I think, button link, so that it's just a text. I'm going to turn off the first icon, and I'm going to then enable the icon right arrow. So here you can see how easy it is to assemble UIs with this design system. So if you're interested, again, check the link in the description. So I have a button over here, and then I'm also going to create a headline. I'm going to say like summer sale or something, right? Or 50% off. And this could be like H1. I'm gonna align it to the top and left by pressing Option A and Option W. And then I'm gonna go for 24 from the sides, right? This is gonna be also 24 from the sides. We're gonna have another text. This is basically just a placeholder, right? Doesn't really matter that much. I'm gonna go for body 1, check out all the products with this discount or something, right? This is just a placeholder. It could be like here. And then on the other side, we could get some kind of an element. But for now, I'm gonna keep this just a placeholder, right? So the layout of the slide could look something like this, for example. What I'm gonna do next is I'm going to turn this into a component. So basically we're creating this now, right? I'm gonna create a component. I'm gonna add a variant, and then I'm gonna add actually 2 more. So I'm clicking this plus over here, and I will also select the component as a whole and go to variant property and change this property to slide and go for 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is 4, 3, 2, 1. And just so we can see like where we are at the first glance, I'm going to move these into the background. So I'm clicking, command click in, then command option left bracket, right? And I'm gonna go 1 because the copy is the same everywhere. So just to differentiate, I'm gonna turn this into the slide numbers. I'm gonna copy, select all of these and paste, right? Then of course we need to change those. So 2, 3, and 4. So now we're gonna know which slide we're at. And let's make this a bit prettier. Let's just add some colors like purple. Let's go for mid blue on this one. Then let's go for cyan, maybe not cyan, but red and yellow. I think that looks good. I'm gonna select all of these and then go for reduced opacity, just a little bit. And then I'm gonna also select this one actually and go also for yellow and then red, mid blue, and purple. So again, this is the advantage of having color styles in place. You can then quickly select those. Again, this is something that we have in our system. Okay, so the next thing that needs to happen is I think we need to build these navigation dots. And I think we're gonna get 8 states. So the first thing I'm gonna do is create a frame that is 16 by 16. I think that's gonna be about the right size. I am going to rename this frame to 1, and then I'm going to make it fully rounded. So let me go for 8 on the radius, and let's go for black on the background, but let's make it transparent, so like translucent. So let's go for 24 or 16 on the opacity of the color. Okay. I'm going to duplicate this. We're going to get automatically renamed thanks to Figma. That's pretty handy. Dot 1 through 4. Okay. Now that I look at it, I think these are too big. Let me go for 8. Let me go for 8. Yes, that's gonna look better. Let's do auto layout on all of these, and let's rename these to navigation dots. And then with the spacing, I think we could also go for what? 4 maybe? Yeah, I think that seems about right. And what I'm gonna do next is create a rectangle that's gonna be 8 pixels tall, but the width of this one is gonna be 20. This rectangle I'm gonna make fully black, so 0, and I'm gonna rename this to dot 1 progress, and then I'm gonna duplicate this and go for dot 2 progress, and then dot 3 progress, and also dot 4 progress. Okay, I'm gonna select the first one, Command X, select dot 1, paste it in, and I'm gonna use my arrows to move it so that it's not visible, right? So that it's just behind the edge. Then I'm gonna do something similar with the second one and the second dot. So let me just move this over here, and then the third one here, and the fourth one here. So all of these now contain these progress bars essentially. And if I resize it, you can see they are still not visible, only if I choose to move them. All right, so that's what we need exactly. And before I continue, I'm actually gonna move this over here and then create another test page. Guess what's the name gonna be? Yes, it is going to be test page 4. So let me rename this. Let's remove these elements from here. And I'm also gonna go to prototype, and I will create a new button for this test page, new test page 4. Okay. And it's gonna point to new test page 4. Let's just check if we indeed, when we launch the prototype, if we indeed can get to navigate to this page. Okay, so new test page 4, awesome. And what I'm gonna do here with these navigation dots is I'm gonna turn them into a component. And what I'm gonna do next is create 7 more states. So we're gonna get 8 states in total, right? That's 7, that's 8. All right. And I'm gonna again select the component as a whole and go to property and call this state. And what I'm gonna do here with the first two, I'm gonna select the first dots and I'm gonna then expand them all the way to be 20 points wide, okay? And I'm gonna do something similar with the second two and the second dot, then the other pair, that's gonna be 20 as well, right? So we're gonna get basically this situation going on, right? And then in terms of state, or better yet, this could be called actually slide. I'm gonna go and click on the first one and say slide 1 start, or like 1 start. And this one's gonna be 1 end. And then this is gonna be 2 start, okay? So this is slide 1, start and end. This is slide 2, start and end, right? 2 start, 2 end, 3 start, and 3 end on this one, right? And then 4 start and 4 end, okay? Awesome. And now let's start adding some interactions, or more like animations. I'm gonna select the dot 1 progress in the second state and go Option D. Then I'm gonna do something similar here. So that's gonna be the 2 end state. So all the end states, basically, I'm gonna just select the corresponding progress bar and I'm gonna move it, I'm gonna align it to the right of that container. So basically, this is what we get, right? Brilliant. Now, what I'm going to do next is go to prototype and I'm going to connect the first one to the second one. That's going to be 1 start to 1 end. And this is going to be after delay. There's going to be no delay, or just 1 millisecond actually. Change to 1 end. And this is going to be smart animate. And we want to do, let's say, 2000 milliseconds. So it's going to be quite long. In terms of the curve, this is going to be linear, okay? And now let me show you what this does. Let me show you what this does. I'm going to paste an instance of this onto new test page 4. All right, and let's launch the prototype. New test page 4. New test page 4. And you can see that it goes from the start to the end, but then nothing happens. But that's exactly what we need, okay? I'm gonna do something similar for the remaining 3 pairs. So again, connect the second one to the third one. After delay, 0, change to smart animate linear 2 seconds. Something similar here. That's gonna be after delay, 0, change to 3 end, smart animate linear. So we're always connecting the starts to the ends, right? So 1 start, 1 end, 2 start, 2 end, 3 start, 3 end, and finally 4 start and then 4 end, okay? And this is important to get correctly. So as you can see, we have these after delay animations just within these pairs, but they are never connecting one pair to another pair. So that's important, okay? So now if I were to actually go to the prototype again, duplicate this 3 times, and then change this to 2 start, 3 start, and 4 start, we should be seeing all of these progress bars filling up as when we enter the page. So let's go new test page 4, right? And you can see that's what happened. The first one is already, the animation already happened. So that's why it's static. But if we reload the prototype, I think we're gonna see all 4 of them loading up. Let's see, let's take a look. New test page 4. Brilliant. So as you can see, the animation now works and we can continue with our design, with our component. What I'm going to do next is create instances of all 4 of these slides. So I'm going to just select all of these and then Option and click and drag, and I now have instances. I am going to arrange them like this next to each other, right? How it actually happens in the slider. And then what I'm going to do is take the last one and duplicate it in front of the first one, okay? And then I'm going to take the first one and duplicate it behind the last one. So the order that we get is now 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay. I'm then going to select all of these, all of them, and do Shift A and then adjust the spacing to 24. Okay. Now that I look at it, I'm really irritated by the colors. I'm sorry, I have to reduce the opacity of this just so that it's like not that visible. Or actually, let me do one thing. I'm gonna add a radial gradient on all of these. I'm just gonna go for solid color first here, and then from that I'm gonna create a radial gradient. Whoops, accidentally. All right, let's copy the code. I'm just gonna do this, okay? I'm gonna remove this whole situation so that we get basically just this. I'm just gonna go for this. I'm gonna copy this onto all the slides, except on each slide I'm gonna just change the code to match whatever color we have, okay? So in terms of this one, I'm gonna just go for the mid blue with the red one. I'm gonna go for red one. Awesome. And then remove these things that I don't like. Okay, this is better. Sorry, it was just too in my face. Okay. All right, back to the component. I'm gonna also enable rounding on all of these. I'm gonna go for what, let's say 16. And then so that now all of them are rounded. And I'm gonna call this auto layout slides container, okay? And then what I'm gonna do is add another auto layout on top of this one. So I'm gonna do Shift A with this selected with 0 paddings, and we're gonna get hug contents, right? So hug, and I will call this scroll parent, okay? I'm gonna call this scroll parent. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna make sure the scroll parent has the same width as the screen, and that's gonna be 393. So let's go for 393. Okay, 393. Awesome. And actually, now that I think about it, it's not gonna be on auto layout, it's just gonna be a frame. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the slides container, which should stay actually on hug. Let's keep it on hug. So slides container contains all of these and has this hug set up. The scroll parent is 393, and I'm gonna position the slides container so that we get the first one in the middle. Let me actually clip content on this one, and with the slides container, let me move that so that the first slide is actually in the middle, in the exact middle of the scroll parent. Okay, 16 from both sides. Excellent. That's nice. What I'm gonna do next is then create an instance of the navigation dots, and I'm gonna put it over here and then select the scroll parent and the navigation dots and do Shift A to create an auto layout, and then do Command R to rename this to slider. Okay, and I will reduce the spacing to 16. And before I turn this into a component, let me also add actually a background on all of these sliders so that it's better visible against the light background. As you can see, it's currently very difficult to differentiate when there is like a white background on this. So let's just do a 6% opacity, solid color, always with the color that the slide has. With this one, that's gonna be the mid blue. Let's do 6. With this one, it's gonna be red, also like 6, and then this one's gonna be yellow, also 6. So I finally cracked the code on which color combination I like with these sliders. All right, I promise that was the last edit. Okay, so now I'm gonna maybe the buttons as well. Okay, never mind. That was the last one. With this selected, let me just go and create a component from this. So let me create a component. And we need to get started on setting up the interaction, the slide interaction actually. Okay, so for now, let's just do 2 states. Let's do in terms of the variant property, let's go for state again. And I'm going to do on the first one, I'm going to do 1, and then on this one, it's going to be 2. And of course, with the slides container, it's going to move a little bit to show a different slide. Naturally, that's how slides work. So let me just position the slides container so that it's exactly aligned with the top one, right? That should be it now. Let me see what's the difference in the X coordinate. So that's 754, and this one is 369. So that's 385. Let's just do 385. Let's do a note. That's the amount by which this container has to be moved every time we slide, okay? So let's just keep a mental note here, or an actual note here, and then let's select the actual first slide, go to prototype, and let's connect that to the second variant, okay? And it's going to be on drag, change to 2, and this one's going to be smart animate, it's going to be ease out, and it's not going to be 2000, it's not going to be 2000 milliseconds, it's going to be like 300 maybe. And then something similar I'm going to do with the second slide that's going to lead back to the first state. And I'm going to do on drag, change to 1, smart animate, ease out, 300 milliseconds. And what I'm going to do now also, you can see that I'm going to just select these navigation dots and go for to start. Okay. And now let me use an instance of this as a whole. Let me go to test page 4 and let me paste that in directly in here, not into any auto layout. Let me now remove these, all right? Remove these, move it somewhere around here, and let's actually remove let's even remove this, okay? Let's just paste it here. Exactly align it with the button, all right? So that this is our test page 4. And now I'm gonna go to the prototype again. I'm gonna actually go back to home and then reload it, right? And then go to new test page 4. So you can see that the loading bar is loading, but nothing happens. Of course, because we haven't set up any interaction based on this. But I think I can drag now and I can go to the next slide and then go back to this one, right? And then again to this one and this one. Okay, perfect. So for some reason you can see that the state of these dots is not being changed only if we drag it again and then release it. So we're gonna have to figure that out, but you can see that the drag interaction works. So that's nice. Maybe if we go to state management and let's do a reset component state, maybe that's going to affect that. Let's do that on the way back as well. Is that gonna not reset scroll position, but reset component state? Maybe that's gonna help us. I'm not so sure about that, but we can try. Okay. Okay, perfect. Now you can see that it works perfectly. So it was all about resetting component states. And because we were smart with how we construct this, you can see that we get nice little smart animation on the dots, which looks pretty sweet. I really like this, how it's turning out so far. So we just need to make sure the reset component state is enabled on these interactions. Otherwise, you just saw what's gonna happen, right? It's not gonna work. Anyway, let's continue. Let's continue with this slider, okay? I will create another variant, and this one's gonna be called state 3. I'm then gonna select the slides container, and on the X coordinates, I'm gonna do -385, all right? And last one, it's not gonna be the last one, but you're gonna see why. Let's go for 4, okay? And again, on the slides container, I'm gonna do -385. Okay, so we have these 4 states. Now, if I go ahead and select in each of these, select this slide and connect that to the variants next to it, and I'm going to do on drag on all of these. All right, so number 2 is going to lead to number 1 and then number 3. Number 3 is going to lead, or rather slide number 3 is going to lead to slide number 2 on drag. Okay, I hope this makes sense so far, but also to slide 4 and then on drag as well. And then number 4 is going to lead to slide 3 and theoretically it should lead again to slide 1. But how do we do that? You're going to see in a few minutes, but this is exactly why I added the number 1 at the end, right? This is slide number 1 at the very end, and also slide number 5 at the very beginning. You're going to see a very cool trick in a few minutes how we can actually mimic, just fake an infinite scroll. But now, if I make sure that we have reset components states on all of these, I think it remembered this one. I think it remembered on drag. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be reset component states. Yes. Let's just reload the prototype and let's see if we can scroll through, drag and scroll through all of these. Okay, I think we can. All right, this is perfect. We can go back and forth. So I can go 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 3, 1. I can see that it's fully functional. I can swipe between these essentially. All right, and you can see that here we have a mistake. On slide 4, we don't get the component reset, and on slide 2 as well. So slide 1 and slide 2 work well, but for some reason slide 3 and 4 do not work well. Let's see what the issue is here. We do get reset component state. So what exactly is the problem here? Maybe it's just a bug. Let me reload this. Reload prototype. Okay, 2, 3, 4. So what we did wrong is probably, so this is no bug as usual, human mistake from my side. So I need to change, of course, to 3 start and then 4 start. And this, I believe, now should work perfectly. Let me reset the prototype. New test page 4. And now you can see the dots are working perfectly. Okay, this is great. Awesome. Now what I'm going to do next is the infinite scroll trick. So how do we achieve that? What we need to do is actually create 2 additional states. And this one's going to be, let's just add another one. And this one is going to be 1 fake, right? You're going to see why I called it fake. And then there's going to be another one at the beginning. And this one is going to be called 5 or 4 fake. Okay. So we're going to have 1 fake and 4 fake. And then the slides here, they are going to, again, the slides container, I'm going to subtract 385. Or actually add 385 plus 385, okay? And then here I'm gonna subtract 385, right? 385, okay. So we have fake, 4 fake, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 fake, okay? So what I'm going to do next is, of course, I cannot forget to change this to 4 start and then 1 start, but I'm going to simply add on the slide number 4, I'm going to add the drag interaction, right? On drag interaction, and something similar I'm going to do here with the 1. That's going to be also on drag. So on drag, change to 4 fake, smart animate, ease out. Awesome. So now if I relaunch the prototype, I reset it, I can go from the first one back to the fourth one, but I can't do anything then. So it looks like we got, if I reset again, so if I go to slide number 4, I can go to the left and to the right from this one. But if I go to slide 4 from slide 1 like this, then I can't do anything, right? So this is definitely unexpected from the user experience point of view. So what we need to do now is somehow get from this state immediately to this one so that the user doesn't notice. And we're going to do that through after delay. So I'm going to select this whole state and I'm going to connect this whole state to the actual fourth state. And this is going to say after delay 0, change to state 4, and we're going to get instant. Okay, this is going to get instantly going to switch over. And something similar with slide number 1, the fake one. Okay, one fake. We're going to connect the fake one to the real one. Okay, and we're going to do after delay again 0, change to 1, and it's going to be instant. Okay, so now theoretically this should happen, right? So we now got an infinite scroll. Isn't this a cool trick? So we're basically faking an infinite list. We just switch over to a fake position 1 and then immediately reset that to 1 so that the user doesn't notice anything, but these two are separate states and these two are separate states as well, but the user can't tell. So we're doing a little magic trick on the user, but as long as it works and behaves as expected, nobody can have an issue with this. But now what's missing? We got the drag interaction. It's nicely swiping. We got the loading bar on the dot, but nothing happens when the dot finishes loading. So we actually need to add this interaction or like animation on these ones as well. So not only are these states going to have on drag interactions, but they're also going to have after delay interactions. Okay, and we're gonna go with the after delays always from 1 to 2, 3, 4, and then 1 again, or like fake 1. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is select variant number 1 and connect that to variant number 2, and I'm gonna do after delay. We're gonna change to the second variant, and it's going to be smart animate. It's also going to take 300 milliseconds or maybe 400 milliseconds. Let's just keep 300 and see how that looks. However, this delay needs to be in the exact same duration as this animation takes, right? So we are doing 2000 milliseconds on this one, which means that to match the time of automatic swiping and the loading bar finishing, we need to add after delay in the exact same duration. So it's going to be 2000 milliseconds as well. Okay. Now, if I reset the prototype again to test page 4, let's see how that looks. And it's not working for some reason. What if I reload the prototype? Is that gonna help? Okay, let's see. And it works now. Okay, so you can see that it transitioned automatically, but we should be also able, theoretically, to interrupt this animation. And I think I should be able in the middle of it to just drag it over, right? Or drag it back. So let's see if that's the case. Let me do that again. And let me interrupt this. Okay, and you can see that it can be interrupted. So that's good news. That seems like it's gonna work actually. And what I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna do actually something similar on all the remaining states. So let's do again, after delay. Let's go for after delay, 2000 milliseconds, change this one and smart animate, okay? And from 3 to 4, let's go after delay, 2000 milliseconds, smart animate, ease out to the fourth state. And of course, the final one is also going to happen to the fake number 1. And so let's go for 2000 milliseconds on this one as well. Then we're gonna get the automatic, right? The automatic switch to number 1. So let's test how this looks now. So let me reload the prototype again and let's see what happens. All right, we get nice little swiping on its own. Let's see what happens now. All right, and you can see that it actually goes in a loop on its own. And I can also interrupt this animation, go back, and it's gonna continue. I can go back again. I can bully this slider, which I'm not gonna do. I'm gonna be nice to it. And then it's gonna also switch back over to 1. And this happens because I think, yeah, because after delay, it goes to fake 1, right? So thanks to the little trick that we did with the instant switching over from the fake 1s and fake 4s, we basically are getting a seamless animation. I'm really happy with how this turned out. So let's watch once again how this works, how this looks. I can, of course, go back and forth, and it's always going to continue in a loop, right? And we get a nice animation. It's a loading bar as well as a navigation, and I think this looks really cool. Again, if you want to download this, if you want to get this for your own project, check the link in the description. You can find the source file for this and also all of this there, so definitely go check it out. And yeah, if you then want to, for example, the first slide to go to a certain page, you simply go to the slide component, and then let's say we want to go to this page, right? To the design system page. I simply connect that to this page and go for on tap, navigate to dashboard sub page. Let's do actually instant, and let's do reset scroll position. So theoretically, slide number 1 should be leading to another page, right? And you can see that it indeed does. So that's brilliant. So that's how you use this one in practice, right? I'm actually really proud of this one. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it made sense. Thanks for watching all the way through. Thanks for tuning in. Let me also know in the comments if you'd like to see more similar tutorials like this to get really hands-on and deep with prototyping. I think it's really cool because you can create some amazing results with that. It looks really cool. Thanks once again. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in the next one.